And once again, thank you, Francisco, for providing the theme song to the podcast. Appreciate it and you. And so this is Realm of X2, and I thought it was a huge improvement over the first issue. So the writer is Torin Grombeck, artist is Dejonas Neves, color artist Rain Barreto, letterer VC's Clayton Cowles, design Tom Muir and Jay Bowen. Cover artist Stephanie Hans, David Lopez did a variant cover, production by VC's Clayton Cowles, editor Lauren Amaro, senior editor Jordan D. White, and editor-in-chief C.B. Sabowski. And the issue opens up with Curse giving a narration of how she experienced the Hellfire Gala and how, Orcus invaded. Xavier started telling everyone what to do, or overriding everyone's thoughts of his own thoughts. Ileana telling her to get into the gate. And then Curse. And Curse is explaining it to Saturnine. And then right before she gets into the gate, she curses Xavier. Then let's go somewhere else, but not with Charles. Which I guess is all it took to change the gate into going to Mother Righteous's pocket dimension and into this Asgardian adjacent realm of X. And Saturnine's being very considerate to Curse, who's just feeling horrible about the whole situation. Saturnine offers that they can start looking for her friends in the morning, and Curse puts her head on the pillow saying that they're not her friends. And then we get the official recap. The Wolves and the Lamb. The cast is Magik, Mirage, Typhoid Mary, Dust, Marrow, Curse, and Saturnine. Stranded in Vanahelm, following the harrowing events of the Hellfire Gala that decimated mutant kind, Magik, Mirage, Marrow, Dust, and Typhoid Mary. So I don't know what order that is. It's not alphabetical. Which would have easily been done. You just put Dusk first, and then Marrow, and then Magik. But maybe it's in order of importance? But I don't think... Because in my heart, I'll put Dust above Marrow. And then I guess it would be. Anyways, who knows what order they did. Typhoid Mary and a small group of mutant refugees have found themselves taken in by a group of Vanir warriors. However, their help isn't solely coming from goodwill. It turns out that mutants' coming has been prophesied and heralds a coming war that has the potential to change Vanaheim forever. The problem is the result of the prophecy is vague, and as the promised day rapidly approaches, Magik's mutant powers continue to fail her, and this ragtag group of mutants must prepare for what's heading their way while also looking for the lost member of their group, Curse. Curse, who has found herself in the clutches of none other than the White Witch, Saturnine, no longer the omniversal matrix. Saturnine has her own purposes for keeping Curse close. X weeks later, which as we all know in this era is 10 weeks later. And I do have to admit, this title still feels like, hey, who would solve this problem immediately? Oh, I know. Ileana and Danny Moonstar. And so they just take them off the board, and then they rounded out the team with some other snarky gals like Typhoid Mary and Marrow, and Dusk, I guess, being the level-headed one. Hope is fickle thing. The rival of reason, it erodes over time. Then we see Dusk is meeting back up with Ileana, who's feeling disconnected from her powers. So at least and that's all most fans wanted to address, was like, tell us why she's not just using all of her magic skills and not just teleportation disc. But for whatever reason, this realm of X is just blocking all of her powers. And I will have to say too, I thought we were about to get a fun callback to one of Ileana's classic costumes because she's wearing a hood, and it looks like she's wearing an eye mask. I was about to say as opposed to what other type of mask, but we all know that there's facial masks in the world. And I guess hoods as well, but those would be hoods. Anyways, So it looks like she's wearing a domino mask, which would be a callback to her graduation costume, from the original Mutants run. But instead, it just turns out it's just the shadow from her bangs. But I was like, oh, that's a missed opportunity. But also, why would she be wearing a mask in Vanaheim? Like, it's not like she has a secret identity to protect. And they're getting hungry and desperate. Oh yeah, the rival reason it erodes over time. Ever hungry, it needs nourishment to survive. And Ileana is also trying to just draw from even the darker sources, but the flow is blocked as well. And Dusk is trying to locate any weakness of where curse can be. A sign, an idea, a spark of something. And so Dusk has noticed there's a wall, which sparks Ileana, who's surprised to hear about a wall, but she's just read about a wall. And that's when we find out that she's not wearing a mask. And it's like, well, dang. And Dusk is offering to come with Ileana, but she wants to do it all by herself because she's been feeling pretty useless these X weeks. And now she has something she could do. She's librarian. So you can keep going. The House of Molt. And this might be my favorite page of the issue, but Typhoid Mary, or I guess just Mary, has become so bored she has decided to take on sword practice. And, excuse me. And so she's just beating this guy. Typhoid Mary does not feel like she's doing anything wrong. After all, Fisk would hardly mind his wife beating someone up. And so she tackles, even if that someone is sweet. Oh yeah, this guy's name's Vanos. And so she starts beating him in the sword fight. He falls to his back. Sweet and gentle. And she's pretty much just not cradling him. Just sitting on top of him. And you can just tell he turns very romantic and strong. And their faces are very close. And in awe of her. And I don't know, there could be an argument to be made that maybe they feel so desperate they're not heading back ever. And so, is she allowed to cheat on this guy? I like to think in this superhero universe they find themselves in, that he's not dead, you're not dead, you're bound together. But also, I'm trying to remember my road trip rules about different zip codes, but I mean, cheating's cheating. So Typhoid Mary recognizes this and lets him, stands up above him and moves on. It has become increasingly clear to Magik that searching for truth in a library of prophecy is much like staring into a bowl of alphabet soup. And she talks to Frida, who runs the library, about books, and she knows the piece that Ileana, looking for advice, is looking for and gives it to her. And then we see one of the prophesized pages is of Curse and diary entry by Frida Frostborn, current head librarian of the Library of Prophecy 6 weeks ago. So maybe this is 10 weeks later, and so we're 4 weeks from when she wrote the diary. Renowned prophetess Joanna Thornwood is visiting the library. She has been here for a fortnight, and we are running out of time and wine. We had hoped she would be able to shed light on the question of Fifth Stranger, but she seems preoccupied with walls. She has written endless passages about barriers, partitions, and dividers between us, literally, magically, and metaphorically. It falls to me to interpret her prophecies, and I am beginning to wonder the barrier she is referring to is related to a strange phenomenon reported throughout Vanaheim. We seem to be losing our magic. Could these walls she speaks of somehow disrupt the flow of powers in the realm of X? Joanna is considered the most accurate soothsayer in Vanaheim. But as with many, and I just appreciate them saying Vanaheim as much because the name of it's not sticking in my head at all. But as many of those who offer only truth in their predictions, it is usually only possible to piece together their meaning until after the event has already happened. And by then it is too late. Finding something of use with the battle mere weeks away feels like a futile exercise. I'm becoming increasingly aware, surrounded by paper and prophecy as I am, that when the war is inevitably upon us, my life's work is over in one way or another. It's difficult to be certain that it has been worth it in the end. We have reportedly offered Joanna refuge in the library for the battle, but her answer is always the same. I intend to die laughing, upside down, watching the fools dance to the tune of Fate's fiddle. I do not know what that means. Elberstone Citadel. If we see Saturn IX talking to Tasana, and they're trying to... And Tasana's wondering why Saturn IX doesn't just tell Curse to start helping. And Saturn IX states that it has to be Curse's choice. Like, that's how her power works. Because Curse, if she does it for herself, then she gets hurt. But if she does it for someone else, then they get hurt. Or maybe it's 50-50 and they never know. But if it's from a good place, then the curse isn't so bad. And we see Curse as just being a nuisance to people. But maybe a fun nuisance as she eats biscuits and such. And we see Saturn IX and her ragtag crew are trying to figure out where Magik's coming from. And they're in front of a well. And then Curse finally walks in the room, so we get some backstory. It is an ancient power source, Saturn IX says. The Citadel was built around it. It is how the Vanir of old powered the gates and trading routes to other realms of X. Back in the day, it brought Vanaheim to the universe and the universe to Vanaheim. But when the Vanir left their cities, they hid it. It was too powerful to be destroyed, so they used its power to hide it in another dimension. We are looking at it through a one-way portal to, well, somewhere. And Curse is just bedazzled by the whole nature of it all. Then we catch up to Danny and Meryl as they're seeing the Citadel, and since they've looked all over, then Curse must be in the most protected location that they have not been able to walk into. And we see some bounty hunters who mistake Danny and Meryl for easy targets. It has been a frustrating few weeks, and in this moment, Danny Moonstar does not speak for Meryl. Because Danny just says that they're not looking for trouble, but Meryl is looking for anything. After weeks of walking through this war-torn land, she's aching for a fight. And she decides they will do. So Meryl unleashes all of her bones. Danny starts getting a psychic arrow ready. And the bounty hunters just collapse pretty much. Meryl and Mirage choose mercy of sorts. Danny Moonstar's arrows does not hurt the body, but it traps the mind in its own nightmares. And then before anything can get more out of control, Dusk shows up, telling about how they they all believe that the Citadel is the answer. And Danny feels bad that Ileana is still blaming herself. And Dusk tells us that Ileana's been keeping herself busy by taking care of the wounded and poring over books in the library. And Dusk is worried about her. This realm of X is doing something to her magic, and her powers are still lost. She seems lost without them. And then Danny wonders about Mary. Later, the House of Molt. And Mary is just done with just sitting around doing nothing. Danny's like, we're not doing nothing. We're trying to do something. But they're like, it's taking too long. Like, she just wants to go home. And Ileana pipes up. All of our people are fully recovered now. The prophesized battle is only a day away. If we could get them out of here before the war, it's worth a try. I say we go. And Mary's just like, well, you You're not doing anything, so go. And then Mary's just as cruel to poor Magik. Face it, Magik, you can't pull your weight in a fight. It's unfair for the rest of us if you go to the fight. Nothing hurts like the truth. And then we get back to her standing up, looking sad, more sorrowful, and those dang bang shadows just covering her eyes. And it's like, why is she not just wearing a mask? No, it's okay. She's right. You go. Find Curse. Find the way to get the others to safety. Where it's like, oh yeah. And then they've mentioned how Danny has been trying to reach out to Asgard, but there's just no way to connect to it. So we get a letter. Thor, Odin's son, All-Father and King of Asgard. We are unsure if you have received our previous communications, but we take the liberty of asking for your assistance once more. Our realm is in peril. The one who calls herself the White Witch has taken... Oh, yeah, because they don't know it's Saturnine yet. Has taken up residence in Emberstone Citadel. She is rebuilding the structure we abandoned eons ago, and along with it, we fear the weapons and war machines that the Vanir once forged. Despite our renewed attempts at peaceful negotiations, diplomacy has proven unsuccessful. If the potential destruction of Vanaheim, your long-standing ally, fails to spur your forces into action, perhaps the notion of an unknown adversary armed with ancient Vanir weaponry will. Should you need a reminder of the devastation they are capable of, we urge you to consult your own historical records. Know that there is no reason to believe this sorceress will confine her campaign of violence to our realm. We are prepared and willing to fight. We are fully ready for the conflicts that lie ahead, yet the future is most uncertain. And when we consult it, we see nothing but darkness. We implore you to assist us, and if that is not feasible, we request a response. Your silence in this matter is difficult to intercept as anything other than an act of aggression. Commander Terabin of the House of Molt Vanaheim. So Danny must have meant that. Well, I like to think Danny's maybe trying to reach out too. And then we get back to Saturnine, who's just getting bored of everything. And Saturnine does not... Oh, yeah, because they're all aware of the prophecy, which is weird that both sides know about the big battle, but neither side seems to want to do it. So I was like, well, what's going to be the inciting incident that makes it all happen? It begins small, soft, unease, exhaustion, a nagging feeling that something is wrong. Then the memories come, like memories do, out of nowhere. Lived horrors coming alive in their minds. And so we see Danny, Mary, Marrow, and Dusk. And Danny feels something in the air. And then Marrow gets shocked. Marrow sees Alexandria. She feels the emptiness twist inside her. The guilt is overwhelming. Sorara has never told anyone what... Oh yeah, because they're all seeing their nightmares. Told anyone what she sees in her darkest hours. But she does what she always does when the images of her past intrude. She prays and keeps going. In the depths of Mary's mind there is blood. Coats that once were white. Had Magik been with them, she could have told them who was watching their memories. She would have understood what they were giving away as they walked through the shield of Magik. She would have understood who they just let into their minds as they walked through the wall. Or phased through the wall, if you will. But Ileana is driven by her own fears. And so now I'm curious, who does she sense? I thought it was Belasco, but I saw some people online who thought maybe it was Enchantress or someone else. And Enchantress I sort of will get because it's, mind games, but also Asgardian. And Belasco seems more like an Ileana foe, and which would make sense for him to strike her while she's weak, or weakened, I want to say. But also, he probably doesn't make sense much in this story. But they're through the wall. They see the Citadel buildings, and they're very advanced because the Vanir people are living very modestly, like in huts. and small houses. Complex and all-consuming, they are not of pain and death. And we see that Ileana has written 4 letters, one to Mary, one to Meryl, one to Danny, and one to Sorara. For a moment, she wonders if there's another way. And Saturnine doesn't want to fight, but she's willing to kill them. If this is playing into the hands of destiny, then this is how it's always going to be. Oh yeah, and I guess there was a crazed prophet who was laying on the table upside down. And she's saying, that's it, Saturnine. Death begets death. War begets war. And, I wonder if this is the lady who goes to the library and bemuses upon things. Though she's determined, as Magik walks away, a small part of her wants someone to notice. She wants someone to stop her. No one does. To be continued. So not a bad issue. Like, it sets up some questions. It doesn't really answer anything from the previous issue, but it feels like we're getting forward momentum, so that's nice. Other books that were on sale: Invincible Iron Man 10, which was pretty good. They get married. Tony Stark and Emma Frost. Jean Grey 2 with Wolverine as the Phoenix. Miss Marvel, The New Mutant 2, which I really liked. Immortal X-Men 16. X-Force 45. Oh yeah, and then coming out this week will be X-Men 27, which I'm super excited about. Wolverine 38. X-Men Red 16. Astonishing Iceman 3. And Invincible Iron Man 11. Double shipping, I suppose. And that is Realm of X. Not listed was Ultimate Invasion 4, which, if you ignore all the Maker stuff and who he fights in his city, it wasn't a bad issue, though. I don't like. They've already announced that Hickman is writing Ultimate Spider-Man 1, and you had to look for it. I imagine you type in Jackal SIII Ultimate Invasion, you will see my big post I did about it on YouTube, or not YouTube, on Twitter. And now that I'm mentioning it here, I probably should just make that a blog post, because it'd be something worth easily referencing. So ideally I get my act together and just post that tomorrow, so look forward to that. But if Ultimate Spider-Man 1 uses the last issue of Ultimate Invasion 4, then there's going to be a lot of, we know a lot of world leaders who are all, of course, superheroes, but we don't know much about the day-to-day living in there, nor do we know who is the Ultimate Spider-Man. So I'd be curious to see how that all works out. So thank you everyone so much for listening. I need to figure out, since we're now in October, if I'm going to do the first issue of the Loki tie-in this week, or am I going to try to do Inferno this week, because we, the lovely Klein family, are going to go to Las Vegas to see Pink in concert. And we're leaving Thursday night to go to Bozeman to then fly. So I'm losing my Thursday night recording night. But if I get my act together tomorrow, I should be able to do one of those. And I'm tempted to push Loki off and do Inferno so that we don't lose. Because we're getting closer to being done with the Inferno tie-in. And then instead of doing 2 bonus episodes a week, it might just be nice to maintain one. But I appreciate everyone who's been reaching out saying that you do not mind the extra episodes a week. And it's a podcast, so I subscribe to not subscribe, what's the word? I'm a patron of Bitches on Comics, a great podcast, and now that I've downloaded, or I have access to their Patreon exclusive channel, my phone, does your iPhone ever do this where you follow a podcast but you don't follow every episode, like Smartlist, you will, or Conan even, where you just listen to the celebrities that you're interested in? But by doing so, Rec goes oh, hey, you listened to 4 episodes of Conan, here's some back issue episodes you missed. And I'm oh, well, I guess I'll listen to them now. Well, my phone's been doing that with Bitches on Comics, which called Queer Spec, because of their Pride anthology on Decoded. I was man, what is it called? But I did it. I pulled it out. And so I've been very deep diving on that. So, and they made a bunch of bonus episodes. I'm like, oh, hey. What was I? But anyways, it's like, it's a podcast. So listen at your leisure. But I do appreciate everyone and their kind words reaching out. Especially as I rattle off at the end here. But, so that's something I'm going to think about. And that's one way I'm leading to. But who knows what tomorrow night will bring. But if you will, give if you'll subscribe and tell a friend to listen, really appreciate that, as it helps the podcast grow, as well as leave a review on whichever podcast platform you listen to. You can follow, that blog I referenced was shadowandflamemagik.com. You can follow the podcast on Twitter and Instagram at SNFWM, the N spelled out. You can follow me at Jacko SIII on Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, and YouTube. Really appreciate that. And so I'm going to record an episode and ideally still upload it on Friday morning will be the plan. But, we'll see how it all goes. All right, everyone. Well, thanks for listening. I'll talk to you next time. Bye.